Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This is my new Fantastic Four video. Marvel just made a bunch of big announcements about the movie in Marvel Phase 6, so we'll break it all down. I know there are tons of questions about what's going on with the characters in the MCU, what's going on with Doctor Doom, because we actually know a lot about what's happening with Doctor Doom in the 616 main Marvel universe. But he's starting in a different movie later this year. That's right, we're gonna get some Doctor Doom pretty soon, thanks to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I'll explain that later in the video. Because Kevin Feige said their whole thing was doing something different with a new movie than they've done before, so it won't be like a rehash of the original Fantastic Four movies. And real big reminder that the Disney Plus Day event is happening in less than a few weeks, and they'll be dropping a bunch of Marvel trailers for the upcoming Disney Plus series in the next year, Star Wars series and announcements, like even more Fantastic Four news. So of course I will do videos for all the trailers that they release and announcements. Be sure to subscribe to get all that. It'll be like Comic-Con Part 2, Trailer City, it'll be awesome. But the biggest news you've probably been seeing in all your feeds is that they finally replaced Jon Watts as the director of the new Fantastic Four movie with Matt Shakman, of all people, who you'll probably remember from WandaVision. So it looks like Matt Shakman is going to be doing the movie now. He's a great director, he did an awesome job with WandaVision, and it is still, to this day, one of the most popular Marvel Disney Plus series next to Loki. This is him talking a little bit about the characters, just talking about Marvel in general.
It blew my mind when they pitched me the concept for the show, more than just because the idea is outrageously fun and new, but also because it felt like it hit all the parts of my life. I grew up being on shows from the 80s like Facts of Life and Different Strokes, Growing Pains, etc. But I've also directed a lot of, large-scale spectacle. And so the idea that there existed a project in the Marvel Universe, which I'm also an enormous fan of, and dressed up like superheroes from the Marvel comic books when I was a kid until they told me I had to stop. The idea that I could combine all these things that I've always loved into one crazy project was almost like too hard to believe. It's too good to be true.
It's cool to see how big a fan Matt Shakman has been of just Marvel in general since the 1970s, for pretty much his entire life. As he mentions those old shows like Facts of Life, Different Strokes, he actually started out as a child actor in the 80s, and then after he finished school, transitioned behind the camera, producing and directing. So that's how he wound up doing all this big stuff. You've probably been seeing the cast of Always Sunny posting a lot of memes about how they should be the new version of the Fantastic Four because Matt Shakman directed a bunch of Always Sunny episodes. Maybe we'll get some Always Sunny cameos in the movie. Supposedly finding the new Fantastic Four movie director was one of the most important things that Marvel was working on this year in the background. Because apparently Kevin Feige was looking for a director who was strong enough, good enough, that he didn't have to babysit the set himself while they were filming to make sure that everything went all right. Because if you didn't realize it, a lot of times they'll find directors from indie films who don't have experience doing big studio films, and Kevin Feige himself will actually spend a ton of time on set sort of shepherding and babysitting the movie. Kevin Feige is one of those people that says that he doesn't really like to sit behind a desk. Like, he has an office, he does have a desk, but he doesn't like to sit behind it. So when he's not in the office or he's not meeting with writers' rooms about upcoming projects, he's usually on the different film sets of all the movies that they release each year when they're working on them. So like WandaVision, for example, was kind of like a trial run for Matt Shakman. He did such a good job with the episodes that he directed that put him in line to direct on the Fantastic Four movie. We just saw John Krasinski fulfill all of our fan casting dreams. They actually did the thing, and he played Reed Richards in a version of the Fantastic Four in the 838 Illuminati universe. But you probably saw the news that Jon Watts, the Spider-Man director inside the MCU, he's done all the Spider-Man trilogy so far, Spider-Man No Way Home most recently, was originally going to be directing the movie announced by Kevin Feige a couple of years ago.
And finally, I'm happy to announce a film about one of the truly iconic Marvel families. In fact, Marvel's first family, Fantastic Four. We're working on a feature now, and it will be directed by the director of our recent Spider-Man films, Jon Watts.
But he actually just left the project a little while ago because they confirmed that he's going to be directing Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland, Zendaya. Pretty much everybody's coming back. They're going to be picking up where they left off in Spider-Man No Way Home with the college arc for Spider-Man. I got a lot of questions during my Doctor Strange videos about who remembers what about Spider-Man and Peter Parker now, because they referenced Spider-Man several times during Doctor Strange 2 later in the timeline, but none of them know that Peter Parker is underneath the mask. They just remember that Spider-Man has done a bunch of stuff. They also revealed one of the other reasons why Jon Watts left the Fantastic Four movie is because in addition to Spider-Man 4, he's going to be directing one of the Star Wars live-action series. It's going to be called Skeleton Crew. It's going to be a spin-off of The Mandalorian like Book of Boba Fett. Like Jon Favreau says, it'll take place in the Mandoverse, as they call it. That's what they're calling the larger Mandalorian universe of shows now. They haven't 100% confirmed John Krasinski is their man coming back as another multiverse version of the character. RIP to the 838 universe version. but supposedly he is the leading candidate right now. It would be great to see him get to play a badass version of the character who is actually the smartest man alive. Like, no more meme posting about him being the smartest man alive. This time it's for real. Supposedly the cameo scene that he did in Doctor Strange 2 was meant to be a trial run, so to speak, just to see how fans responded to it, and just to test out what his powers looked like on screen, just to serve as sort of a trial run for what it would look like if he used his powers. We got a little bit of him, like he stretched a little bit, but mostly it was Scarlet Witch turning him into spaghetti and him coming through portals. The whole thing with the portals is just teasing the whole Fantastic Four subplot with them traveling around to alternate universes using quantum energy, the same way that Ant-Man and the Wasp introduced quantum energy, the same way that Kang the Conqueror, who is related to Reed Richards, also uses quantum energy to power his TVA portals. That's why they look so similar to the portals that Reed Richards was using. And speaking of them doing an MCU version of Doctor Doom, this is Sam Raimi and Michael Waldron, the writer, talking about introducing the Fantastic Four to the MCU and how they specifically wanted to reference Doctor Doom when they were introducing this version of Reed Richards.
The detail of the teleportation device he uses to get into the scene is something we took from the comics. That's Doctor Doom's time door.
You see, it's all connected all the way through the timeline, from Kang the Conqueror at the end of the timeline, all the way to Ant-Man and the Wasp, Avengers Endgame, Iron Man, what they did traveling through time, and then Reed Richards now in another alternate universe. It's all about all these alternate universes, all the incursions, and the lead up to the Secret Wars. We actually already know what's going on with Doctor Doom in the MCU on the 616 main Earth. He's featured briefly, like very briefly, as part of the Black Panther Wakanda Forever storyline, and I believe he's only going to be referenced very lightly in the movie. Like, he's not a big character in the movie or anything like that. Like, maybe at the end, like a post-credit scene or something like that, will tease that Doctor Doom was kind of pulling the strings from behind. But he's supposed to be the person in the MCU who's funding this research looking for more vibranium. So he's the person who's effectively paying Riri Williams, using a bunch of different sources to hide his identity. In the comic book version of Doom War, he just outright invades Wakanda trying to steal their vibranium, kind of like Ulysses Klaue. He basically wants to use that to upgrade his armor, all of his Doombots, all of his technology. Like the way they explain in the MCU, vibranium has a billion different uses. So of course everybody wants vibranium. But in the Illuminati's 838 universe, this version of Reed Richards was meant to be like the full fan service, fan casting payoff, because they had a full family from the comics. They didn't mention Johnny Storm or the Thing, but they were meant to be alive in this version of the team. And when I say paying off fan casting theories, the writer claimed that this version of Sue Storm that they referenced in the movie was meant to be Emily Blunt, John Krasinski's real-life wife. I think the deeper cut in this cameo scene was confirming both of his kids were alive too, Franklin Richards and Valeria Richards. And Franklin Richards is probably the most powerful character that Marvel's ever introduced in the comics just because of the way that his powers work. He can create entire universes out of nothing. In fact, at the end of the Secret Wars arc in the comics, Reed Richards winds up being one of the people to fix the multiverse, like repopulate it with all the different universes that were previously destroyed using Franklin Richards' power. And a couple years ago, when Kevin Feige said the intention was for them to do their Fantastic Four reboot movie as Marvel's first family, he was actually talking about the original family, not the traditional nuclear family that you're used to thinking of when you think of family. Like Kevin Feige was talking about the original family of 4 adult superheroes, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, The Thing, and Johnny Storm. But basically they're going to be trying to set up the main version of the team, the main version of Reed Richards in all these MCU movies, and he'll share a lot in common with what's going on with Kang the Conqueror, the TVA, quantum energy, along with Hank Pym, Ant-Man and the Wasp in their use of quantum energy. A character who does a lot of research and technology and crosses between different universes frequently, all in service of continuing this big storyline with the incursions and the Secret Wars teaser. A lot of you also confused about the familial connection between him and Kang the Conqueror. Yes, they're related, but they're very, very distantly related. So Reed Richards and Kang the Conqueror are kind of like very, very, very distant half-brothers. So they only share a little bit of genetic material. They already said we're going to be seeing a bunch of different versions of Kang the Conqueror in different movies, like different iterations of the character from the multiverse. It sounds like Marvel is going to use him as sort of the focal point of the incursions because of the Kang Multiverse War. Like they're going to say that the Kang Multiverse War is part of what's going on with all the incursions. So even if Kang isn't going to be the main villain of this new Fantastic Four movie, it sounds like there'll be a lot of Easter eggs for him too. But everyone post all your theories for this brand new Fantastic Four movie in the comments, and who do you want to direct it? I'll do more videos for the movie when we learn more about what's actually going on. I'll do more videos for the movie when we get more announcements, and we have all those new trailers coming soon. I'm in the middle of doing videos for all the She-Hulk episodes, so I'll put links in the description for all those episodes. My next big one will be for House of the Dragon Episode 2. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. And everyone click here for my House of the Dragon Episode 2 trailer video, and click here for my full House of the Dragon Episode 1 video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.